Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name is Lacey and I am a 6th grade teacher, and I have not filmed the education video in a while because we've been winding down the school year the last few weeks. I am officially done. The last day of school was yesterday, but if you are a teacher or even a student, you know that the last few weeks there's nothing really to film because students are testing and then they pretty much just watch movies and just hang out. And my job as a teacher is really just to keep them contained and quiet. So there has not been anything to film. I apologize for not filming at work for a while, but now the school year's done. So I do want to reflect and be super vulnerable and talk about my school year. I put a question box on my Instagram, which is linked down below. So make sure you follow that if you want to submit your own questions next time we do a Q&A. My students actually submitted a lot of these questions because that Instagram that's linked down below is my teacher Instagram. So I do have students that follow me on there and a few parents as well. So I just want to be vulnerable. Let's reflect on the year. I am officially done. We do have post planning next week, but that's, without students. So I'm still gonna say that this is officially summer. So let's get real and talk about the school year. We do have some new followers, some new subscribers since we started the channel. So I do want to answer a couple background questions first, and then we will get into the deeper things. So the first two questions I kind of combined since they are quick answers. How old are you and how long have you been teaching? So I am 26 years old. I graduated college at 22, so I started teaching at 22 the following August after I graduated. So this is my 4th year of teaching. I just completed my 4th year of teaching. This was my first year at my current school. I grew up and born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and I taught there for 3 years, and then I actually moved to South Georgia, got married, and I completely moved my whole life, my career, everything down here to South Georgia, about 3 hours south of Atlanta. So it was my first year at this school, but it's my 4th year teaching. A student asked me, what is your favorite part of being a teacher? I feel like my answer has changed. I think that if you're a teacher, you probably understand, like with every grade level, with every school, with every year, your answer might change about this question. But I would say right now, in this moment, my favorite part of being a teacher is the relationships. I teach 6th grade, so they came fresh from elementary school, and they're used to that individualized attention that elementary school teachers can give. But of course, in middle school, you have typically over 100 students. I had 107, so it's really hard to give individualized attention to everyone because of the amount of kids, because of behavior issues, because of attendance issues, whatever. There's sometimes students that you can't bond with as much due to things you can't control, but I definitely loved the relationships that I made this year. I was intentional. I did things out of the way. I went to all the track meets. I went to a student's baseball game. That was not even with the school team. That was just his club team. I took some students out to eat with me before, of course, with parents' permission. You've seen me film with a couple students before that I've taken with me. So I've done a lot of things out of the way, and I have never done that before. In Atlanta, that was just not really something that I did or really anyone did at my school. But I would definitely say the relationships are my favorite part. The next question, which is 6th grade versus 8th grade. So in Atlanta, I taught 8th grade. So things were different. A lot of the kids were kind of too cool. They didn't really want to care too much. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but I never really had a relationship outside of the classroom with the students. Because they would never be seen, hanging out with their teacher. 8th grade is definitely different because they are getting ready for high school, so they are more mature, they're more cool, they're just kind of nonchalant, I guess. Definitely way more independent as well. Like I would give the instructions, here's what you're doing today, here's the assignment, I'll pull it up on the board, read the directions, and then literally I would have no questions. It would just be quiet, they would work, they wouldn't talk. Maybe I just had a good school, but I never really had to correct them on independent work days. And I would say in 6th grade, it's different. Like I will go over the directions, I'll hand out the papers, the worksheets, whatever, and then I'll take a seat, and let me tell you, 5 hands will be up. And then pretty much the whole class, I'm up answering questions. Like I don't even get to do any of my own stuff. Of course, I do have a planning period, and that's what planning periods are for, but I'm used to teaching 8th grade where I'm able to work as they work. So that's definitely a difference. Again, I already spoke about the relationships. They always like want me to take them home, or like they want to hang out outside of school. So I love the eagerness, and that way they're more eager to learn. They get more excited about things, even though it's work. So 6th grade is definitely different. Personality wise, of course, teaching ELA, reading and writing, is pretty much the same. And I was able to use some of those 8th grade lessons in 6th grade and just modify them. So the teaching is the same, but I would say the behaviors, their attitudes, how they act is a little bit different just because of their maturity and their age. That's understandable. Someone asked me, what was the favorite lesson that I did this year? I've spoken about this before, but I tried to be outside of the box. I would say we definitely read a lot, we wrote a lot, but we weren't just writing whole long essays every day. Majority of the time I would really go outside of the typical worksheets and typical easy way, and I would try to find things that were creative. I would say my favorite thing and something the kids really enjoyed were some of those spooky stories that we read. Roald Dahl, he's a great author, I'm sure you've heard of him. He wrote some really great short stories that a lot of teachers use. One of them is called The Landlady, about a creepy landlady, and then another one is Lamb to the Slaughter. So the students really enjoyed the stories, and we listened to the audio, which made it more dramatic, and then we did some cool projects. Lamb to the Slaughter is kind of like a crime situation, of course school appropriate, and so we put her to trial. They did a trial project. I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of work for them, but they had a whole week, and it was getting them to think creatively. And then the other story I mentioned, the landlady was creepy and she was committing crimes. And so we made a wanted poster for her, and the kids really went above and beyond. Both of those things are creative. I didn't have them write a whole essay. I didn't have them take a multiple choice test on those stories, but they did a lot of writing, but they didn't really complain or think it was too hard, because it was something interesting. So I would say those 2 short stories were my favorite things we read this year, and then the assignments I plan to go along with them were my favorite lessons, favorite assignments of the year. A student asked me, do you enjoy teaching honors or would you rather teach Excel? So at my school, it's a magnet school, so there's not like on level, it's either honors or gifted/Excel. I teach honors. I am not gifted certified. The kids are the same. I think maybe we have a bit more behaviors that hinder our learning, but I would definitely say the honors kids are just as smart as the gifted kids. It's just a matter of applying yourself. So honestly, I don't really care if I was honors or gifted. I was blessed with a great group of kids this year. I know I'll be blessed with the great group of kids next year. I'm right where I need to be. So I can't really answer that question because I definitely enjoyed my year teaching honors, but I think with gifted, it's pretty much the same. It's just a matter of, applying themselves and trying to be the best they can be. The next question is, what is the biggest lesson you have learned this year? This has to do with the age group that I'm teaching. I would say the biggest lesson I have learned is just basically remember these are young kids. Like, remember that these are kids who are looking up to you to influence them. So I can either influence them for the better or for the worse. I really had to remind myself of that a lot this year. The world has changed. Kids are exposed to so much at an early age, so they try to, act more grown. They try to act older because they're exposed to so much. You got to remember, even though they want to, act grown or try to be smart with you or whatever, these are kids. So I really need to watch what I say, because I've seen a lot more tears than I ever did in 8th grade, not because of anything I said, but even when they have to call their parents or anything like that, I've saw a lot more tears. And you remember, like, these are kids, like these are fresh from elementary kids. And of course they hate that term kids because they are getting ready to be teenagers, so they hate that word. But it's true, that's what they are, and you've got to treat them like that. You can correct somebody, you can do your job without it hurting their feelings and making them, feel some type of way. So I've been really practicing that. These are not my 8th graders that I'm teaching, so you got to really kind of tread lightly. They're a bit more sensitive, and again, that's because of their age, and that's okay. So I had to teach myself, remember that they are kids. The last question is, what is your word for next year? So I usually try to choose a word to focus on. For this year, it was flexibility, because I was new to the school, new to the grade level. So I was trying to be flexible with the kids, flexible with myself, flexible with the lesson plans. And now I feel like I'm adjusted to 6th. I know the deal now. So for next year, I would say grace. It all links with what I just said in the last question about the biggest lesson I learned. Grace is very important. Again, these are kids. They mess up. I'm an adult. I mess up. That's just life. And we got to give the kids grace. I don't want them to feel unsafe in my classroom. If they messed up yesterday, well, guess what? Today's a new day, and I don't need to treat them any different. So just grace, and again, just continuing to figure out, what is my legacy going to be? I had them think about that too. What do you want your legacy to be? And as an adult, as someone who is older than them, I need to be thinking about that even more. What kind of legacy, what kind of mark do I want to leave in the world? So I would say my word is definitely grace. I just overall want to embody the word grace. So that is definitely my goal for next year. I'm gonna stop here because I had a lot of questions and this video is already long. But if you want a part 2, make sure you comment that down below. Also make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And next week's post planning, I'm gonna film that whole week. This kind of show you guys what does post planning look like, so that way I can have one more video actually from my classroom and from my school before summer officially starts. But I am going to go ahead and end this video here. Thanks for hanging out with me today and for listening. We want to thank you so much for all of the support, because it's all because of you. We will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.